Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for standing by. Welcome to the 2018 ACC Coaches Teleconference. During the presentation, all participants will be in a listen-only mode, and afterwards we will conduct a question-and-answer session. At that time, if you have a question, please press the 1 followed by the 4 on your telephone. And if at any time during the conference you need to reach an operator, please press *0. This conference is being recorded Monday, February 19th, 2018. And now I would like to turn the conference over to Brian Morrison. Please go ahead.
Thank you, and I'd like to welcome everybody to today's basketball teleconference. We'll get things started with Clemson head basketball coach Brad Brownell, whose Tigers will be at Virginia Tech on Wednesday, and the game shown on the Regional Sports Network with a 7 o'clock tip. Coach, if you could, a few comments about your team, then we'll open for questions.
Sure. Well, coming off a tough loss yesterday, great game against Duke. Thought our kids played extremely hard, did a lot of good things defensively, but just didn't make enough smart basketball plays throughout the course of the game to win. Certainly have another difficult week heading into Blacksburg on Wednesday. Buzz has got his team playing well, and be a real challenge for us.
We open for questions for Coach Brownell.
If you'd like to register for a question, please press the 1 followed by the 4 on your telephone. Our first question is from David Teal with the Daily Press. Please proceed.
Good morning, Brad. Do you have any update on Shelton?
Not yet, no. I haven't talked to anybody in the medical staff, and I'm sure he's going to be evaluated this afternoon again and see how he goes from there.
And then his availability, how would that affect how you would defend Justin Robinson, who's playing at a really high clip right now?
It's just another body to have out there going against him. I don't know if Shelton would guard him or not, but haven't really kind of gotten all the way into all that. But just having another backcourt body out there that's experienced to play, obviously, is the asset of Shelton really on both ends of the floor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And our next question is from the line of Will Vandervoort with the Clemson Insider. Please proceed.
Brad, I know you said you wanted to go back and watch the tape after yesterday's game. What did you see that was causing you problems there from Duke's defense? And are you concerned if Shelton don't play that maybe this is something more teams are going to try as you move forward here, or at least tomorrow against Virginia Tech, Wednesday?
I don't know. I think not Virginia Tech, Duke. I think they extended their zone a little bit. I thought Gabe was impatient when I watched the film, and I thought he settled for some things that, every once in a while a guy who shoots it as well as he does is going to take a couple deep ones, and heck, he's made a bunch of those this year. But I thought he really was I thought he got a little impatient and forced a couple really bad ones, and maybe didn't just kind of let the game come, and maybe do a couple more other things that could have helped our team win, and certainly would have helped him play a little better. I think he just got a little impatient in the game, and the excitement of it all, and some of that. But I certainly thought they did some good things. Will other teams play us zone or whatnot? I mean, Virginia Tech plays some zone, so I'm sure we'll see some zone there, and that kind of stuff. So we'll work on it here for 2 days and try to get ready.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Our next question is from Mike Barber with the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Please proceed.
Good morning, Brad. I'm curious what you've seen. They've been much better defensively over the past month than they were at the beginning of ACC play. What have you seen change for them on the defensive end?
They're doing. Looks like they're doing a little better job, maybe, of protecting the basket. I thought they've really guarded well at Virginia. I mean, they played just a terrific game, really on both ends, because going into that environment and beating those guys on their home floor is extremely difficult. I thought defensively they were outstanding in the game, and just
they've gone.
I think their guys are really in good position supporting each other.
They've gone to starting Devin Wilson, who played a ton as a freshman and then kind of disappeared a little bit for them. When you watch on film, what does Devin Wilson bring to them, number 11?
Yeah, no, I know who he is, believe me. He's a good player. Number one, he's mature. No moment is too big. Like he plays the same way all the time, which I think, is in this league is really good, because I think, like, you watch him in games on the road or whatever, or games in the last 2 minutes, and he's very poised. Obviously, defensively, he's really good. He's a competitive guy, strong physically, moves great laterally, hard to beat off the bounce. And then offensively, you don't need everybody to score all the time. You need some guys to just know their role. And, he gets other guys' shots. He'll take a shot if it's there, or a drive if it's there. But he just knows how to continue to move it. He one-mores it a lot. He does a lot of the little things that good teams have players that do. And, they got enough other shooting and scoring and guys that can make threes, and obviously Justin Robinson coming off ball screens that, he just knows how to help his team win. I think that's as important an attribute for a player to have as anybody, and then to accept that. And I think he's done an unbelievable job of that.
And our next question is from Mark Berman with the Roanoke Times. Please proceed.
Good morning. With Mitchell's injury, how has that kind of changed what you're able to do offensively, and kind of, I guess, put some more pressure on Reed and DeVoe?
Yeah, I mean, we're not reinventing ourselves, obviously, just because of the injury yet. We haven't had enough time to do any of that, and I don't know that we would change drastically what we're doing. But when we've only played one game, and it was against Duke, and they played us 40 minutes of zone. So, Marquise is handling the ball more, and we're asking him to make a few more decisions that way and take on a little bit more of an organizational leadership role in the half court. But that's really, in terms of the changes, that's probably the thing that's happened the most. And then obviously what it's done is it's given a guy like David Scarr, Amir Sims, Clyde Trapp a few more minutes.
Thank you. And our next question is from the line of Grace Rayner with the Post-Courier. Please proceed.
Hey, Coach Brownell. I just wanted to ask you about Earl Grant over at the College of Charleston and maybe how much you followed along with his success this season and what it might be like if y'all were to cross paths in the postseason.
I followed his team a good bit. We're certainly very proud of those guys and big fans of those guys down here. Obviously, Coach Bender and Coach Dean both work down there, and obviously Coach Grant worked for me, so we know their team very well. We're constantly checking scores. We talk with members of their staff. Probably every week somebody on our staff is talking to their staff, and whether it's sharing ideas or just commiserating over how our teams are doing. But we certainly are following that league and those guys and hopeful that they're going to win the regular season and then the tournament as well.
And our next question is from the line of Scott Kiefer with the Greenville News. Please proceed.
Hey, Coach, I know it didn't work out yesterday, but what has made Marquise Reed so effective in late-game situations?
What is it about him? I think he just has good poise. I think he's confident and plays with pretty good poise. I think he's one of those guys that just enjoys playing and believes in himself and, isn't afraid to take a big shot or make a big play. He's got confidence that he can do things. And, I think that's certainly extremely important. And I don't think there are as many guys that really have that belief as you might imagine or fans might think. And so, we're certainly glad we have him. And he's a guy who's certainly made some great plays for us down the stretch in a lot of games.
And we have a question from the line of Christopher Heidel with Herb FM Sports Radio. Please proceed.
Hey, Coach Brad. How you doing?
Good.
Just what's your takeaway from the game yesterday against Duke? Or what do you guys have to, improve on? Because I know the tournament's coming up in like a couple of weeks. You may have to have those close games in the tournament. What do you guys have to work on for getting that taken care of?
Yeah, I think we obviously we had a few turnovers that we'd like to have back. I think that was the big thing on offense is we had some turnovers that were really problematic. Some decisions. I thought defensively we were really pretty good in the game, and I thought both teams defended at a high level, challenged shots, competed, physicality. But I think offensive execution, continuing to just execute a little bit better offensively and get rid of a few of the turnovers. Every game's going to come down to just a few possessions, and I think if you can minimize a couple of the bad turnovers we had, that changes the outlook of the game for us.
Okay, Coach, thanks for taking time being with us today, and we'll hear from you again next week.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Brad. We have with us now Georgia Tech head basketball coach Josh Pastner, whose Yellow Jackets will be at Virginia on Wednesday. The game shown nationally on ESPN2 with a 7 o'clock tip. Coach, if you could, a few comments about your team, then we'll open it for questions.
Yeah, we just, didn't have a great week last week, losing two tough games at Wake Forest and home versus Virginia Tech. I knew when Jose Alvarado went down, and not having him and not having a true point guard was going to make it really, really tough for us. And we just haven't played real well without him. I mean, it's just made it tough because we lose. He's our toughest guy, and we lose that competitive fire from that he brings, and just the free-flowing things with offensively and defensively. So, I knew it was going to be a little bit of a challenge, but we'll have to continue to tinker and adjust the best way that we can, and try to, you got to at Virginia and then at Clemson this week. I mean, it doesn't get any easier. So we'll have to try to adjust and do the best we can to move some pieces around to give us the best chance, to win games.
And we open it for questions for Coach Pastner.
If you'd like to register for a question, please press 1-4 on your telephone. We have a question from Mike Barber with the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Please proceed.
Yeah, Coach, you just kind of hit on it, but especially against Virginia and that pack line, being without a true point guard, how does that affect kind of the way you attack a defense like that?
Well, obviously, Coach Bennett and his defense, they're the best in the country. Whether you have the point guard or not, it's hard to score on Virginia. So, it makes it tougher for us. But we'll have to continue to, like I said, we'll have to adjust and tinker with some things. And I mean, we don't have a lot of guys because, Curtis Haywood, our starting two guard, is out for the season too. So we're just, we've got to, just adjust the best way we can and try to figure out the best game plan to give us a chance to put us in a position to succeed on Wednesday and then Saturday.
Thank you.
Our next question is from the line of Sam Bloom with the Daily Progress. Please proceed.
Hey, I'm curious, since you guys last played Virginia, there have been a couple teams that have tested them pretty well. Do you look at game tape from the games where Virginia has struggled, and can you take anything away from them, like, more specifically the Virginia Tech game and then when they played Florida State a few days before that?
Well, I don't. There's not that many games they've struggled to watch. They've been pretty good for long, and they're very well coached, and they're really, really good. So, we're for us to win the game on Wednesday, we'll have to be near perfect on both sides of the basketball, and of course we're going to have to score against them, and that's easier said than done. We're going to have to make some shots. We're going to have to make some threes. And to give yourself a chance. And the other thing is it's hard to play against them playing from behind because of the way they control the ball and not turning the ball over.
Thank you.
Our next question is from the line of David Teal with the Daily Press. Please proceed.
Josh, DeAndre Hunter played a large role in your first game against Virginia. What were your impressions of him that night, and then subsequently watching him? He was really good at Miami the other evening too.
Yeah, he's really good. He really hurt us. He was the X factor against us here, and obviously that's a credit to Virginia and their development. He has gotten better from even when I watched him in high school or summer basketball. But he's really good, and I think he's a big X factor and key for them. And we'll have to really defend him well, and on the offensive the defensive end from our part of it. But he hurt us last time we played him. There's no denying that, and I know he played well last game too.
What is it? He seems to be aggressive off the bounce and able to get his inside or out.
Yeah, he's a hard matchup because, like you said, he can score in the post, he can put on the floor, he can score on the perimeter. He can score multiple ways, and so he makes it a tough matchup. And he's, as you mentioned, he can put the ball on the floor and go by you as well too. So you've got to be able to guard him.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Our next question is from the line of Christopher Heidel with Herb FM Sports Radio. Please proceed.
Hi, Coach Josh. How you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Doing great. You played Virginia the last time. Are they different from the last time you played them?
No, I don't think they're different. I just think they're really, really good, and they've been really good, and they're going to continue to be really good. And it doesn't seem like Coach Bennett, their system. It's their system. It's, plus they got really good players. I mean, they have very good players, but they got an amazing system. And, of course I haven't worked for Coach Bennett, but I would assume that they don't maybe, going to change from game to game. They're pretty consistent from how they play, and that's why they're really good. You know, they do their thing, and they're really, really good at what they do. They're not really good; they're exceptional at it. And so they're, you know, I mean, of course, you're going to make some adjustments and tweaks, you know, here and there, but wholesale changes aren't happening. You know, for us, it's just, you know, we've been hit with unfortunately, with the injury bug, and it's just hard to win in this league when you don't have that depth and you get hit with some injuries. You know, that's just it's hard. It becomes hard, and of course, it doesn't get any easier playing at Virginia and at Clemson this week either.
Yeah. Well, good luck this week.
Okay, thank you.
And we have a question from Tim Ellerby with thewhiteandgold.com. Please proceed.
Hey, Josh. Have you found that there are challenges recruiting at Tech that maybe you didn't have at other places?
Yeah, well, your pool of getting guys in here is very small. One, both admissions, and two, being able to handle the academic load once they're here. But that's not a negative. I think it's a positive. I mean, it allows you to not waste any time. It allows you to be extremely efficient. Now, again, it's just it's not negative. It's just the facts, and the reality of it is your pool is less than other places. But you've got to be really good at evaluating and then developing on the guys that you sign. But if you're coming to Georgia Tech, it's, you know, you've got to be committed to school. You're going to be committed to academics, because, you know, you're not able to hide here. That is for certain. And just to get in, it's hard to get in. So, you know, I think it's a great thing. It saves you a lot of time and wasted energy, and you know who can. You know, you've got a smaller pool to target, and then from there you got to try to get the guys that are good enough.
Thanks.
Thank you, Tim.
Okay, Josh, thanks for taking time being with us today, and we'll hear from you again next week.
Okay, thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Josh. We have with us now NC State head basketball coach Kevin Keats, whose Wolfpack will host Boston College this Tuesday in a game shown on the Regional Sports Network with a 7 o'clock tip. Coach, if you could, a few comments about your team, then we'll open for questions.
Well, I thought we had a very good week. You know, anytime, obviously, you can go on the road and get 2 wins in a week. And I thought we played 2 really good games against 2 really good teams on their home floor, starting with Syracuse, which was a good game for us. I thought we did a good job, obviously, playing as a team and being able to pull away at the end and make some shots. And then, you know, the Wake Forest game was kind of similar to Syracuse. I thought our guys really grew up. You know, we were coming off of the previous week where we had lost 2 in a row, and certainly to have the opportunity to bounce back was a good week for us, especially being on the road.
We open for questions for Coach Keats.
If you'd like to register for a question, please press 1-4 on your telephone. We have a question from Steve Wiseman with the Raleigh News and Observer. Please proceed.
Hey, Kevin. Good morning. I want to ask you real quick about there was a Yahoo report last week that, you know, college basketball may be in for a pretty big shakeup here with the FBI thing and all that. I know it's been a few months now, but what concerns do you have about that story ongoing and how it may touch NC State?
Well, I don't have many concerns at all about NC State. I have no reason to believe at all that we have anything to do with any FBI or anything else. Obviously, I wasn't here, but we don't have on our end, from a school standpoint or basketball, we don't have any red flags or any concerns at all. And, you know, obviously when the story broke, Steve, I know everybody talked about it. It's been a black eye for college basketball, and I've said it all along. Even though there may be certain individuals that were involved, it doesn't necessarily make it where all college basketball is bad. And certainly, I know for our sport, I think everybody will eventually get through it. But, you know, as far as the article go, I did read the article. I don't know how much to take from it or take away from it. It's just I've just concentrated on our program, but, you know, we're fine on our end.
Okay. And then with your team this year, I know since the Virginia Tech game, it seems like your perimeter defense has gotten a little better. I know Bryant Crawford had 29 on Saturday, but do you feel like you're guarding the ball better than you were going back to that game?
Yeah, I do. I actually do. I think we're doing a great job of keeping guys in front of us. Even though I thought, as you said, Brian Crawford had a great game, I thought he did a good job getting a lot of his shots in transition, and he made some tough threes. But compared to the way we guarded the ball, on the ball defense, the previous week, I thought last week we took a big step forward.
Good deal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Coach, a question here from Greensboro. Markel Johnson is averaging 9.5 points a game, 9 assists, he's shooting 45% from three-point range in league play. You lost him for that 7-game period. What type of effect did that have on the team, and how has the team rebounded, or how has he rebounded since coming back?
Well, when he wasn't with us, it put a lot of pressure on our guards, the other guards in the program. In particular, Al Freeman and Braxton Beverly. When you lose, just like any program in the country, if you lose your quarterback or you lose your point guard, it's an adjustment time, and it took us a little time to adjust without playing with him. Obviously, he's our best passer. He's the guy that gets us in everything. He is one of our best defenders, so that stretch was a little tough for us. Now, certainly we made it out of it, and we were able to win some games, but we wasn't our best version of ourselves without him in the lineup.
Follow up a little bit here. When he came back, and then you'd had players playing the point for 7 games, does that have an advantage at that point because you've seen something in players that you may not have seen prior?
Well, I think it's it gave the ability for Braxton Beverly to be able to play more one. Obviously he's a natural combo guard, but it gave him confidence, obviously, through that period because he was able to step up and play some point guard and play a little bit more than I wanted him to play. But it certainly, with those other guys, it gave him a chance to be a little bit more facilitators and play a lot more minutes. And then we did develop a little chemistry when he was gone. And then certainly we had to, obviously, when he came back, we had to, obviously get used to playing with him again. But overall, I think it's helped us in the long run.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a question from the line of Christopher Heidel with Herb FM Sports Radio. Please proceed.
Hi, Coach Keith. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Doing great. Just talk about the 2 games at home this week. What does that mean for your players? Just with this grind at the end of the season, having 2 home games, tonight, Tuesday night and Sunday night.
Well, it's good. Obviously, anytime you can sleep in your own bed as a player and, obviously go to class and be in a normal routine, I think it helps us out a lot. Doesn't guarantee wins, obviously, but it puts you in a better situation than being on the road. But I know our guys are excited because those 2 road games last week was quite a travel, especially going all the way to Syracuse, and Wake's a little bit closer for us. But anytime you have a chance to play in front of your home crowd and be more comfortable with your situation, I think it helps your team.
Well, good luck this week.
Thank you.
Any further questions for Coach Keats?
If you'd like to register for a question, please press 1-4 on your telephone.
Okay, Coach, thanks for taking time being with us today, and we'll hear from you again next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. And we'll hold now for Pitt head coach Kevin Stallings. Okay, we have with us now Pitt head basketball coach Kevin Stallings, whose Panthers will host Wake Forest this Wednesday. The game shown on the Regional Sports Network with a 9 o'clock tip. Coach, if you could, a few comments about your team, then we'll open it for questions.
Okay. I thought we actually played one of our better games of the conference season last night. Felt like we found some stuff on offense that worked, and so just didn't get it done defensively, especially in the second half, and so. But in any event, I thought our guys played well and played hard, but I thought Florida State played really well in the second half too. So anyway, tough game coming up with Wake on Wednesday. They've played really well, it looks like at times too, and so we're going to have to get better defensively, and if we're going to put ourselves in a position to win that game.
We open it for questions.
If you'd like to register for a question, please press 1-4 on your telephone. And we have a question from the line of Christopher Heidel with Herb FM Sports Radio. Please proceed.
Hi, Chris Stallings. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing fine, thank you.
Talk about the next two games at home. What does that mean for you? Your players staying at home for you got a tough game against Wake, and you have another tough game Saturday against the number one team in the country.
Well, every game in this league is tough, and especially when you're at where we're at right now. So, but it's I really haven't seen a tremendous difference in how our team has played at home and on the road. Honestly, I feel like we've had some as many, I'll put it this way, as many good moments on the road as we've probably had at home. So, but it's always nice to be in the friendly confines, and hopefully we can break through this week and get a win or two.
I want to wish you good luck this week.
Thank you so much.
Our next question is from the line of Craig Meyer with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Please proceed.
In terms of possessions per game, Kevin, your team's playing at about as slow of a tempo, as some of your recent teams have. How beneficial is it, for a team of guys still kind of getting acclimated to this level to play at a slightly slower pace?
Well, we just felt like, especially when we lost Ryan and when we knew Ryan was gone for good, we just felt like it was in our best interest to lessen possessions in certain games, and so we actually found that our points per possession went up when we did, and so. But I think that, and in addition to that, our ball care has been an issue, and so we felt like that would maybe help us enhance our ball care, which I think that's kind of been a little bit spotty yet still. So, but anyway, I think that I don't know what the possession numbers were like last night, but again, we felt like we found some stuff last night offensively that helped us and got more movement and a few better shots. So hopefully we can build on that going into this week.
When you first took this job, Kevin, I know every new coach likes to say that they're going to play fast and they're going to play up tempo. Do you feel in some ways you're maybe misrepresented as a quote unquote up tempo coach?
Yeah, I think that it's not necessarily about how fast you play. Sometimes it's how fast you shoot, and there are times when we push the ball hard in transition and we still get into the last 5 seconds of the shot clock. But I think your ability to play fast is pretty directly attached to your ability to score easily, and as you know, scoring has not come easily for us at times this year, and most times this year actually, and so it forces you to grind out longer possessions because whether it's not having a dominant low post player or not having a dominant point guard or a dominant player of any kind to maybe take over the game and get you into offense or get you an easy basket quickly, you have to grind out and try to find a good shot. And so sometimes it's not because of your desire, but it's because of your limitations.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yep.
Next question is from the line of Jerry D. Paola with Pittsburgh Tribune Review.
Good morning, Kevin. I was wondering about Jonathan Milligan. He played a whole lot more last night than he had been playing. What have you seen from him lately in practice, and what did you see from him last night?
You know, Millie's quickness gave us some real benefits last night. His driving, his cutting. He made a three. He hasn't shot the ball as well this year as he did last year, but his quickness certainly helped us in the game last night. And obviously with Marcus in foul trouble, Millie was pressed into action more. We probably played him a little bit more together last night as well. But Millie was one of the reasons that we had a chance to win that game, and so. Hopefully he continues to play that way and continues to give us that spark because we need it.
Thanks, Kevin.
All right, Jerry.
And our next question is from the line of Doug Dowdy with the Roanoke Times. Please proceed.
Yes, could you talk about the way you replenished the roster after last season and what you see going forward with all the young players?
Well, I think that I really think that to the man, our young guys have gotten better this year, and so replenishing the roster obviously was a very tall chore and one that was way more extensive than we anticipated it being. But I feel like our guys, our young guys, they're all young basically. Have really progressed through the season. I think that these minutes are going to be very beneficial to them as their careers progress and as we go forward. Obviously, continuing to add players of impact is going to be key for us, which we think we're doing with Ryan Luther coming back next year and Malik Ellison sitting out and some of the other things that we have going, but I've been very pleased with the progress that guys like Marcus Carr and Terrell Brown and Parker Stewart, Shamil Stevenson and Cam Davis. I mean, those guys have made really, really good progress as this season has gone on.
Thank you.
Any further questions for Coach Stallings?
If you'd like to register for a question, please press 1-4 on your telephone.
Okay, Coach, thanks for taking time being with us today.
All right, thank you. Have a good day. All right, thank you.
Kevin. We have with us now Virginia head basketball coach Tony Bennett, whose Cavaliers will host Georgia Tech this Wednesday in a game shown nationally on ESPN2 at 7 o'clock. As we do each week, we'll go right to questions for Coach Bennett.
If you'd like to register for a question, please press 1-4. We have a question from the line of Mike Barber with the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Please proceed.
Good morning, Coach. I'm just curious, how did the week off, how did that schedule go? Do you feel like your team got some good rest, and how did you guys approach that?
Yeah, I think you try to use the week off to the best of your abilities and take advantage. You get a little more time off and then prepare the right way. So, it comes at different times for every team, and I think it was a good time for us to, again, let some guys hopefully refresh their bodies and heal up a little bit and then get back to work preparing for Georgia Tech here in a couple days.
And then obviously with a win, you have a chance to clinch the top seed in the tournament and at least a share of the regular season title. I know you're in the middle of it and you don't look at a lot of those things very hard, but what do those accomplishments mean considering the strength of the ACC?
Yeah, no, obviously that'd be terrific if you can do that. You always start the year and you're trying to obviously be about the moment, but you want to have a chance to try to win and be a part of ACC regular season championships. It's with this league and the depth and the amount of games that'd be a tremendous thing to do, and so to have that opportunity is at this stage with some games left is really good.
Thank you.
Our next question is from the line of Doug Dowdy with the Roanoke Times. Please proceed.
Well, I was going to ask you pretty much the same question as Mike, so I'll ask you another one. Were you surprised that one of your players got engaged over the open date, so to speak? Had you ever had that happen?
I didn't know about that. Who was that, Doug?
Didn't Kyle Guy get engaged? It's all over Twitter.
I'm just messing with you. Yeah. No. Congrats, obviously, to Kyle, and that's no. He had told me on I can't remember what day, if it was Friday, whatever day we had practice, that was something he was going to do. So I just said, "How sure are you?" On a scale of 1 to 10, she's going to say yes, because that's really important in that scenario. So and he felt very confident, but good for them, and that's like I said, every man in his heart knows when it's the right time. So he felt that it was the right time. So I'm so happy and thankful that she said yes, and they're in a good place.
First time that's ever happened to you? Player got engaged like that?
Good question. I was an assistant coach. Actually, Mark Vershaw was married. He was already married at Wisconsin. I got to go back and think, but I believe it is. I think that is the first, but I have to think about that. I've had a few. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that is the first, but if it changes, I'll let you know.
Thank you. Our next question is from the line of Bloom with the Daily Progress. Please
At
proceed.
least successful proposals. How's that, Doug?
Sorry. Yeah. I'm curious. So I was talking to one of Devin's family members, and he said when he was first visiting the school and picking kind of where he wanted to go, that finding a school with a high graduation rate for African Americans was almost equally as important as finding a good basketball program. And I'm curious, just looking back at that time, what you kind of remember about his recruitment process and how important that was to him. And if you find, you've kind of grown as a socially conscious person over the years he's been there.
Of course. And, Devin's brother played football here, Mark. So I think that helped as well with the familiarity, him being from Virginia. That was terrific. No, when those are the student athletes. When you talk about fit and you're trying to say, okay, we got to get people that fit here. That was one of the best pieces of advice I got from so many of the great coaches that were at UVA before, is get people that fit, that value what Virginia's about, that want to be a part of building a program, that want to be a part of the academic excellence here, all of those components, and that really, Devin and his family, his brother, that really fit. And so that was really important. And then Devin, he could have gone to high school another year, and he came, he graduated and he came, I don't know if to say a year early, but so he was excited to be here, and then, he redshirted his first year, and he just has continued to improve. But he was about the complete package, or the whole picture in his decision. Everybody they say that, but that really mattered to them, and here's a guy who's going to get his master's, similar to Malcolm and other guys we've had.
And maybe this question kind of deserves a longer discussion, but I'm curious, especially when you're working with players who, in a very tense political climate, is it tough to sometimes keep that out of the conversation? Is it something that comes up at any point, and do you ever address, things going on in the world outside of basketball and outside of UVA?
What do you mean specifically? Are you saying is there something specifically? I'm not sure.
No, I mean, like regarding the news, regarding the president, regarding, things that are happening like in Florida, stuff like that, when things are, a tense political climate.
Oh, absolutely. You talk about those things. I mean, all that stuff. This isn't just, a basketball only when they come. You're getting these young men at I think a vulnerable time in their lives where they're still forming what matters, their ideas, and if as much time as we spend, of course, in intense settings, on the floor, off the floor, if you're not talking about those things and enjoying each other's fellowship and company, and dealing with hard issues as we've been forced to deal with here, then I think you're leaving a lot out there that could have maybe you could have a positive impact, or at least help people in their journey. That's significant. That's the stuff that's going to be lasting when they leave here. What did I get besides just the basketball stuff from coach, his staff, and my experiences here? So absolutely.
Thank you. Our next question is from Gene Wang with the Washington Post. Please proceed.
Yeah, Tony, kind of a follow-up to an earlier question. How much of the off week was devoted to rest and recovery, and how much of it was to practicing the balance there, and specifically Ty, Thumb? How is that coming along for the final push for the regular season?
Yeah, I think there's a good balance. We took a couple days off after the Miami game on Tuesday night, so there was 2 days. You don't usually get 2 days in a row off, so you use that to obviously recover. And as they say, sometimes the saying is therapy amuses, time heals, and it depends how much time you mean. And that's not to make light, because our trainer Ethan Saliba will have me in a stranglehold here if I say that, because therapy absolutely matters in the treatments, but there is no substitute for sometimes time and rest. So anytime you can not irritate injuries or just get some guys some rest, you hope that can help. And again, you use it as wise as you can, and you try to find the sweet spot of preparing, but also getting rest. You don't want to under prepare and not and have all this rest, but you don't want to obviously wear guys down during this block. So that was trying to find that sweet spot.
Our next question is from David Teal with the Daily Press. Please proceed.
Tony, speaking of rest and recovery, is Ty still wearing the bandage on his thumb?
Yeah, in practice he has. He's taped it up. So, I don't know. I think in time that'll come off, unless it's just, he likes the stability of it. So that's sort of where that is.
Thank you.
Yep.
Our next question is from Ken Segura with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Please proceed.
Hey, Tony. Question for you about Georgia Tech. They've obviously gone through some rough spots here with injuries and so forth, and I'm curious, just as a colleague, can you kind of appreciate what Josh is going through and just the kind of season they're having that hasn't met expectations?
Well, yeah, I mean, they've been hit by the injury bug, but they're certainly capable. And I remember when we were down there playing them, I think they were 3-1, and then again they've had some injuries. But that's the strength of the ACC. Every team is so capable, and Josh did a heck of a job last year, and there's only so many things you can control. But he has certainly a capable team, and they play hard, and they ran into I tell you, Virginia Tech played about as well as I've seen them. A buzzsaw in Virginia Tech. It was close for a while, and then Virginia Tech just got separation. So that's just part of being in this league. So I certainly know that they're capable, and obviously you hate it when players are injured and getting hurt, but hopefully they'll get healthy. I don't know the severity of the injuries, but I know that, like I said, they're definitely capable, and Josh and that staff do a very good job.
And we have a question from Christopher Heidel with Herb FM Sports Radio. Please proceed.
Hi, Chris Bennett. How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
Doing great. You're doing the second time around against Georgia Tech. What are they different from the first time around?
Well, we just talked about that one of their players is injured, but I think they still are trying to defend. They'll run some good actions. They're bigger now. They're interesting. Sometimes they've been switching some more, and they know how to mix up and throw off-speed pitches with their defense. They have a very good matchup zone, and then sometimes they'll play some man-to-man, and sometimes switch, sometimes not. So they do a good job with mixing up their defenses, and then they're very good on the glass. and they have guys, as I said, that are capable, but their size is impressive. With their injury, they've gone big now, and I know they just have guys that have had big games at different times. So I think they've had to adjust without the point guard.
Thank you. We have a question from the line of Paul Woody with the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Please proceed.
Hey, Tony. I hope you're doing well today. Excuse me. If it's okay to say this, your system is not something that people would say is real sexy. It's not run and shoot. It's not we're going to get down and put up a lot of points and we're going to get down, take chances on steals. And you're looking for the right fit. When you find a player with the right fit, how do you sell him on your system and come into play for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say let your eyes be the judge and not your ears when it comes to that. If this is the right place for you, again, we're just trying to. We talked about it before. Get a great shot offensively, play hard defensively, and I think having some team success and of course individual success with players going on to play professionally certainly helps people. And players make decisions. Like it's about getting a great education. It's about trying to be successful, and then can they meet their individual goals if it's to play professionally. And as those things have continued to happen, I think that validates a place like this. But as I've said many times, you always have to figure out what gives you the best chance to be successful. And for us, we have a way in which we play defensively and try to play. I think it's getting good shots, taking care of the ball. Those are just staples that we're always trying to do. And again, I can't always control if people prefer it or don't prefer it, but it's what we are, and we keep working at it to try to get better.
Okay, Coach, thanks for taking time being with us today, and we'll hear from you again next week.
Thanks, Brian.
Okay, Tony, take care. We have with us now Wake Forest head basketball coach Danny Manning, whose Deacons will be at Pittsburgh this Wednesday, and the game shown on the Regional Sports Network with a 9 o'clock tip. Coach, if you could, a few comments about your team, then we'll open it for questions.
Yeah, we're coming off a loss to NC State. I thought the first half was a tough half for us in regards to we had 10 turnovers and we didn't take care of the ball the way that we would have liked to. I thought we did some good things in that first half when we shot the ball, at a really good clip, 50% clip. But, those turnovers were a little bit too much for us to overcome. I think the second half we did a much better job of taking care of the basketball. We just didn't make enough plays down the stretch and get enough stops to put ourselves in a situation to win the game.
We open it for questions for Coach Manning.
If you'd like to register for a question, please press 1-4 on your telephone.
Coach, I know each week you get questions about the play of Darrell Moore right now. He has 4 straight double-doubles, 11 on the season, and his field goal percentage right now is currently the best in league history. Could you talk a little bit about, again, his development and what he's bringing to the team right now, because his numbers are getting really, really good?
Say that again. His field goal percentage is best in league history at this point?
Right now, yes. The record is 69.7%, set by Brendan Haywood. He's at 71%. So right now, currently, his is a single-season record. I mean, obviously, it goes to the end of the season, but his percentage right now would be number 1 all time.
Wow, I didn't know that. Okay, I knew he was shooting a very high percentage, but I didn't know it was that point in the season. It would be a record. Wow, that's impressive. No, Darrell is really playing really, really well for us. Last off season was by far the best off season that he's had, and all that work and commitment is paying off in regards to his impact for our team right now. Averaging a double-double in conference play. Had a really good game in regards to numbers the other night with 23 points and 12 rebounds. And 7 were offensive. So, he's a huge presence for us, and he's doing some really good things.
And we have a question from the line of Ken Segura with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Please proceed.
Hey, Coach. If I could take you back to the Georgia Tech game, can you just kind of give me a sense of what you saw from them and maybe just putting in the context that they're having a
kind of a tough year with injuries and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, we played them, if I'm not mistaken. That was the first game Alvarado didn't play.
Right.
And so, going into it, we knew that the ball would be in Josh's hands more, Jackson's hands. And, I think those guys are doing a really good job, to be honest with you. I think, Lammers is the year he had last year and then what he's able to do within this scheme of the offense, being extremely versatile and allowing Josh to play two bigs out there together is something that gives teams problems. I think they run really good action, and it's just unfortunate that they lose someone who I believe at the time Alvarado got hurt. He maybe about 5 games before that he played almost every minute, and so they were really dependent on Alvarado and his leadership and his ball handling expertise and skill set. So I think they made a really good adjustment. I think Josh is now obviously has the ball in his hands a little bit more, and I think he's having a great year. I think, whenever you get to the free throw line as many times as he does every game on average, I know when we were playing him, I thought he was leading the league at one point. He's playing tremendous basketball, and I think Jackson is playing very, very well too. I think he eclipsed 1,000 points for his career. So, those guys are out there, they're battling and competing every possession. And, they're a team that, when they get hot, they're really tough to guard.
All right. Thank you.
Sure.
If you'd like to register for a question, please press 1-4 on your telephone.
Any further questions for Coach Manning? Okay, Coach, thanks for taking time being with us today, and we'll hear from you same time again next week.
All right, take care. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny.
All right, bye.
And we will hold now for Boston College head coach Jim Christian. Welcome back. We have with us now Boston College head basketball coach Jim Christians, whose Eagles will be at NC State on Tuesday, and the game shown on the Regional Sports Network at 7 o'clock. Coach, if you could,
yes, hi, guys.
comment.
Hey, is there any way, if possible, because we have practice starting right now, that I could just go right to questions if there's any?
Absolutely. Let's go right to questions.
Thank you.
If you'd like to register for a question, please press 1-4 on your telephone.
Coach,
and we have a
question from... Okay, go ahead.
Please go ahead. Oh, we have a question from Kip Coons with Press Fox View. Please proceed.
Yeah, hi, Jim. You've got a couple of North Carolina players, and when they've played down here, they seem to have had really good games. Win or lose, they've been at the center of your attack. What do you have to calm them down at all, knowing that they're going to be playing on home turf tomorrow night?
You know what's great for us? This when we usually go down there, it's a great opportunity for them to play before their family and friends. But in this particular game, it is that, but it's also we're playing for things as well. Our basketball team's playing for a lot of things, so it's not really about that. It's not about being from North Carolina. Or it's not about it's a great opportunity for them, but it's not about that. It's about our team trying to play well in the last 4 games of the year because there's a lot on the line for us. And that's what we talked to our team about yesterday. In the past, that's been the only story, and now it's not. And so for us, we're excited to have an opportunity to play a great team. A team was red hot, in their building, but not only in front of these guys because they're from there, but because it's something big for our team as well.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Our next question is from Christopher Heidel with Herb FM Sports Radio. Please proceed.
Hi, Coach Jim. How you doing?
Good. How you guys doing?
Doing great. Talk about NC State. What do you see getting ready for that game?
I mean, obviously they cause a lot of havoc out there. A very aggressive defensive team. They've got a great post player who can score in and out. Their guards are very, very good. I mean, Markell Johnson off the ball screen is terrific, and his assist-turnover ratio is terrific. They just got a really good basketball team that's playing with a lot of confidence right now and creating a lot of disruption from the defensive end. So, again, they're a team they're going to be excited to play because they're playing in late March for a lot of things, and I think so are we.
Yep. Good luck this week.
Okay, thank you.
Coach, a question from Greensboro. Could you, with all the attention being given to Jerome Robinson and Kai Bowman, Jordan Chapman, those big 3 scorers that you have, I noticed in the last 2 games that Nick Popovich is averaging 12 points and 12.5 rebounds. Could you talk a little bit about the development of his play?
Yeah, I mean, he's a sophomore. I mean, he's really improved. I mean, he's improved in all areas, and he's starting to find a little bit of consistency, and he's obviously a big piece for us because we do need more options. Both him and Stephon Mitchell, have had moments and tried to find consistency, and now, Jordan Chapman in the last couple games has not played as well as he would have liked. We're just trying to be consistent. I think, we don't have a plethora of depth or great scoring off the bench, so, our guys who start and play a lot of minutes, they have to try to find that consistency level, and hopefully we can get back to that. I think we want to. I think they're working hard for it. It's just got to come.
Any further questions for Coach Christian?
If you'd like to register for a question, please press 1-4 on your telephone.
Okay, Coach. Thanks for taking time being with us today.
Yep, I appreciate you doing that. Thanks. Bye.
All right, Jim. Thanks. And we will hold now for Florida State head basketball coach Leonard Hamilton. Welcome back. We have with us now Florida State head basketball coach Leonard Hamilton, whose Seminoles will play at NC State on Sunday. The game shown on ESPNU at 6 o'clock. Coach, if you could, a few comments about your team, then we'll open it for questions.
Our last game was against a Pittsburgh team that I thought I was very, very impressed with the effort that they gave. They basically went to an offensive system that I thought that will give them an opportunity to really win some games here. I expect them to use that system on a more consistent basis. They used the 5-out system that took kind of our big guys out of it, and they shot the ball, hit 10 threes, I think, and might have been the first half. But the second half, I thought we adjusted, and we were able to extend the lead there toward the end of the game. So our team is in a position where, if we're going to finish the season strong, I think now's the time for us to really come together and really make some significant progress. And it appears that our team now has a clear understanding of that, and hopefully we'll be more consistent as we finish the season.
We open it for questions for Coach Hamilton.
If you'd like to register for a question, please press 1-4 on your telephone. And we have a question from the line of Christopher Heidel with Herb FM Sports Radio. Please proceed.
Hi, Coach Hamilton. How you doing?
Fine, buddy. How you doing?
Doing great. Just talk about that milestone you had last week. How great was that to accomplish that at Florida State? And I know you're still in the season, but have you had a chance to reflect on that?
I know you might find this hard to believe, but I think I speak like for most coaches. I had no idea what they was talking about when they started talking about milestones. I mean, you're in the middle of the season, you're in the moment, and as coaches, I think most coaches feel that way. Maybe people evaluate you in terms of wins and losses, but in reality, your true test and the grade that you're looking for is what kind of young man that you're producing. How do you really take the kids that are teenagers and hopefully when they leave you, they're young adults, and how have you impacted them? And you're hopeful that you're going to win enough games where you can keep the media happy. But I'm pleased to have been fortunate enough to have had an opportunity to work with young people for the number of years that I have, and we've won enough games that maybe someone can recognize it. But that's probably the least important factor in what we do is seeking recognition for wins and losses. But the most important thing we do, we hopefully as coaches, we're impacting young folks' lives.
Mm-hmm. And just talk about having a week off, until next Sunday. What do you guys have to do to keep you guys fresh for almost a week off?
Well, basically, we only have one experienced player on our team, and that's Terrence Mann. Phil Kofa, even though he's a senior, he's had a 2 years of injuries, and everybody else is really basically first-year starters and freshmen and sophomores. So we need all the practice time we can get. We are a team that we still got a lot of room for improvement, and so we're gonna take advantage of these times and try to manage it to the point where we don't overdo it, and that we give our kids an opportunity to regenerate their bodies. But most importantly, we'll be working on the fine-tune, the small things, just trying to make sure we're fundamentally as sound and mentally, emotionally, that we are as engaged as possible.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you.
Our next question is from Ken Segura with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Please proceed.
Hi, Leonard. How are you?
Yes.
So I was writing a story about Georgia Tech, and they're having a tough go of things for injuries and other reasons. And I know that looking at your past, to test your memory a little bit, at Miami and both Florida State, you had, I guess the case isn't always that success and progress isn't always linear. You go up one year and you fall back and you keep building. And I'm curious if you could speak a little bit to your experiences building your teams there and, kind of overcoming, going up and down before you kind of hit your stride.
Well, I told Coach last night from Pittsburgh that we went 0-18 in Miami one year, and I had 3 really outstanding players. A couple of them had made All-American, All-State, national ranked players, and they all 3 had injuries. All 3. My 2 guards had knee surgeries in November, and my center had a stress fracture in his leg and could never practice. He only could play in games, and he had a ruptured tendon in his shooting hand. So sometimes when you're taking over new programs, you run into all kinds of challenges. And when you take over ACC program that's been successful as maybe Georgia Tech and Pittsburgh at some point in time, people really expect you to come in and pick up where everyone left off, even though you're starting over. It's not. For us this year, we've been able to absorb it. Trent Forrest was hurt first, and he was out for 6 weeks, and then Chris Kamaji was out for 7 weeks, and we had Angola with a stress fracture. With a concussion. We had Terrence Mann with a concussion, and P.J. Savoy was out for about a month and a half. And so you go into those things, and it really impacts you. Even though we've been here for a while, we've been able to absorb them. But when you're taking over a program initially, and you have those types of challenges, it's extremely difficult to overcome them. And sometimes you got to hope that the administration and the people who are evaluating you are patient to give you a chance to really bring your program together and get your own kids in and get your system in place. That's why I was so impressed with Pittsburgh last night, because they shot the ball extremely well the first half. It wasn't like we wasn't trying to defend them. We could have contested a lot better like we did the second half, but they spread the floor and they moved the ball and they made the extra pass. It was difficult for us to turn them over. They was extremely patient. They showed signs of really finding a system that works for them as to where they are right now. So you can expect both of those guys are quality coaches. They're going to build their programs if they're given time. But you have no idea how challenging it is, the first 2 or 3 years when you're taking over a program. I've been fortunate enough to weather some storms, but it's not easy.
All right. Can you tell me your third year at Florida State? The second year you go to the NIT, and the third year it's 12-19 and 4-12 in the ACC. Do you remember what happened there?
Yeah, no. To tell you the truth, I don't remember specifically, but it's not. When I look back at that, it's kind of a blur. To be very honest with you, but in reality, you're going to have challenges like that when you build a program, and it's going to come in all different kinds of forms. Some kids are going to transfer. Some are going to get injured. Some kids are going to take a little longer development than others. But you just have to kind of keep your nose to the grindstone. And it normally works out with people who are patient to give you a chance to develop. And there's no easy fix. There's no easy way around it. There's no fast, quick formula that'll make it work, especially in the ACC, because every night out you're playing against a quality opponent that can very well take you out in a 5-minute stretch.
All right. Great. Thank you.
Coach, a question from Greensboro. P.J. Savoy has returned after missing 7 games. And in his 3 games since he's been back, he's averaging over 12 points and hitting over 45% of his three-pointers. First, what does he mean to the team in terms of obviously having him back? But coming back after 7 games and playing at such a high level has been pretty good.
Well, that just says a lot about the teammates' ability to encourage him and stay positive and get the ball to him in certain spots. But it also says a lot about his character. That he was just getting ready to. I thought he had a breakout game, and then all of a sudden now he goes down, and it really affected our ability, to do certain things during periods of the game, because whenever he's in the game, he's either hitting them or he's stretching the floor on that side of the floor, which gives us more driving land and also opens up that side to throw the ball into the post. So he's a very valuable part of our game plan, and we missed it. And that's why I'm hoping that now that we seem to have everybody back, hopefully we can kind of make a move there and kind of come together and have a consistent rotation, and hopefully that will benefit us down the stretch.
Okay, any further questions for Coach Hamilton?
To register for a question, please press 1-4 on your telephone. We have a follow-up question from Ken Segura with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Please proceed.
One more thing, Leonard, if I could test your memory a little bit. I know it's been a while since you saw them, but what were your impressions of Georgia Tech when they came down to Tallahassee?
We struggle with that type of system where they move the ball and they have a center that can step away from the basket and really pass and shoot and offensive rebound and plus block shots. Their system is extremely challenging for us, and we really thought that we were going to have to play a lot of zone defense. The type of offensive system that they use really tests all our defensive principles, and we were very concerned. We had to work our butts off to challenge them, and I thought that it was a very hard-fought game, and I never really felt comfortable till basically the game was over because we had such a hard time with them the year before, where they just seemed to cut us up. We didn't do a very good job with one of their players. I mean, I think he got double on us. But I was just pleased to get a victory, and that's the way kind of I feel about the whole ACC. But Georgia Tech has a unique system, and in given time, with putting the right players, the way they run a little bit of that Princeton series and a little bit of the spread offense that Oregon has made famous, it's very, very challenging and very difficult to defend.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions for Coach Hamilton?
To register for a
Okay,
question,
Leonard.
please press 1-4. I'm sorry.
Okay, Leonard, thanks for being with us today. We'll hear from you again next week. And we will hold now for Louisville head basketball coach David Padgett. And could I talk to the operator, please?
Oh, Coach Padgett is now connected.
Okay, am I offline?
One moment.
We have with us now Louisville head basketball coach David Padgett, whose Cardinals will be at Duke on Wednesday, and the game shown nationally on ESPN with a 9 o'clock tip. Coach, if you could, a few comments about your team, then we'll open it for questions.
Well, we've got needless to say, we've got a pretty difficult finishing 2-week stretch here with 3 of our 4 games on the road and then our one lone remaining home game against the number 1 team in the country in Virginia. So it's going to be a very difficult 2 weeks. There's no question about it. But with that being said, our guys are up for the challenge, and we just got to be ready to go each night out. And obviously, gets off to a pretty tough start at Duke, but we just got to approach it one game at a time. And like I said, our guys are up for the challenge.
We open it for questions for Coach Padgett.
If you'd like to register for a question, please press 1-4 on your telephone. Our first question is from the line of Christopher Heidel with Herb FM Sports Radio. Please proceed.
Hi, Coach Padgett. How you doing?
Doing fine, thanks.
Talk about playing against Coach K on Wednesday night. What type of, what's the feeling like coaching against that legend, in this game?
Well, to be honest, I haven't thought about a whole lot of that. I've just thought about Louisville versus Duke and what we have to do from a team standpoint to try to have any success. I mean, I've already faced 2 of the 3 Hall of Fame coaches in the league, and neither one of those games has gone very well, so maybe this one will be a little bit different. But, obviously Coach K's reputation speaks for itself. He's one of the greatest, if not, he's up there with the greatest coaches in the history of the game. I mean, it's a lot of people have compared him to modern day John Wooden, and rightfully so. And it's like I said, as much respect and admiration as I have for Coach K. I've just tried to keep the focus on Duke versus Louisville and what our team has to do to try to be successful. It's going to be an enormous challenge, just not only because they have a great coach, but they have a great team. So it's going to be a big challenge for our guys.
Well, good luck on Wednesday night.
Thank you.
Our next question is from Mark Berman with the Roanoke Times. Please proceed.
Good morning. What's been your assessment of your defense this month?
Well, it hasn't been where we would have hoped for. There's no question about that. We've played a lot of very good teams, so your defense isn't always going to be great night in, night out. But I think that's probably been the one common denominator in all of these games that we've lost is we just haven't played great defense. And if you don't come out and defend the way you need to try to win games in the ACC, it's going to make it tough to try to win. And this league is so good night in, night out that every team is extremely talented and extremely capable of beating anybody, that your defense has to be your common denominator. So we just got to work and see what we need to try to do to fix it moving forward with each game. And, we have a tall task on Wednesday to try to do so.
Is there one particular thing with the defense that you're looking to fix, that you're looking to improve in that particular area of the defense?
Well, each team and each game is so different from the previous or the next one that you can't always say it's the same thing. We just defense comes down to playing team defense, and all five guys on the court have to be working together. They have to be in sync. They have to be communicating, and they have to be covering for each other. So, we just got to take a look at the previous film and say where do we need to get better, and say how can we apply it to the next game. So, it's not always the same area. It's not always one area. Each game is just different in and of itself. So, we just got to look at North Carolina and say what do we do wrong defensively, what do we need to fix, and how can we apply that to Duke on Wednesday.
Thank you.
Coach, a question from Greensboro. Could you talk a little bit about the play of Ray Spalding? He's averaging 12.4 points in ACC games, leads the team in rebound at 8.3 in ACC games, and is shooting 57%. Could you talk a little bit about his improvement from last year?
Well, he's played extremely well for us. There's no doubt. He's become a much more confident player. He's become a much more aggressive player, and he put in probably as much, if not more, time in the off season working on his game than anybody. And I think it's starting to pay off for him. He's starting to see what the hard work did for him, and it's carrying over to the court. He's playing at a high level. He's playing confident, and he just is. He's playing the way a junior of his caliber you would expect to play, and he's been very vital for us all season long, but especially as of late. And we need him to continue that play if we're going to have a chance to win.
Thank you.
And if you'd like to register for a question on the phones, please press 1-4.
Any further questions for Coach Padgett? Okay, Coach, thanks for taking time being with us today. We'll do it again next week.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, David. We will hold now for Syracuse head coach Jim Boeheim. Again, operator offline. We have with us now Syracuse head basketball coach Jim Boeheim, whose Orange will host North Carolina on Wednesday. The game shown nationally on ESPN with a 7 o'clock tip. As we do each week, we'll go right to questions for Coach Boeheim.
If you'd like to register for a question, please press 1-4 on your telephone. And we have a question from the line of Donna DeToto with Syracuse.com. Please proceed.
Yeah, Jim, I'm wondering, why do you think I'm sorry, I've got a cold, but I'm wondering, why do you think North Carolina is so good on the offensive glass every year, and what kind of challenge does that particularly present your team on Wednesday?
Well, they're big. They've been big for as long as I can remember, 40 years. They get a lot of big guys, and they're very aggressive, physical on the boards. They usually have guards, big guards that get to the board. But they're always going to have a couple 6'10". Most always have had a couple 6'10" guys in there and 6'8". So always been physical and aggressive.
Okay, and again, what kind of challenge does that present for you guys coming up on Wednesday?
Well, they present all kinds of challenges. They're big, they're strong, they're physical. They've got great guard play. They shoot the 3-point line. They're playing as well right now as they played all year. They're a really good team, obviously.
Okay, thank you.
If you'd like to register for a question, please press 1-4 on your telephone. And we have a question from Christopher Heidel with Herb FM Sports Radio. Please proceed.
Good afternoon, Coach Boeheim. How you doing?
Good.
Just talk about what do you guys have to do for the next 2 weeks before tournament play? What do you guys have to improve on?
Well, like any team, I think you have to improve every game you play, every practice. We're getting better. We've got to continue to get better, and really in all aspects of the game. We got a lot of young guys that are getting there. They are improving, but they've still got to get better.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you.
We have a question from James Suba with SB Nation. Please proceed.
Hey, Coach, I don't know if you saw today, but Joe Lunardi has you guys as the last team in the tournament as of today. Is that something that you even pay attention to throughout the season?
No, I don't. We're just trying to get to the next game. I think we've got a good team. I think we've played well this year. We have a much better strength of schedule than we had last year. We don't really have any bad losses, and we've got more road games than we had last year. So I like our position. We got to just keep playing. We've got some really, really tough games left, and we'll see what happens.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a question from Hayes Permar with Sports Channel 8. Please proceed.
Coach, when you're planning for a team, how much do you base on what they've done in past seasons and what you've watched them do this season? North Carolina, like you mentioned, they're going to do some things always the same, but they have been playing a little bit different style with the smaller lineup this year. How do you game plan for that?
Well, I think every team is different. I don't think they have certain things that they always do well, but you have to play against this team. It's a different team. They shoot the ball extremely well from the perimeter. They've got young big guys that are getting better, but you really have to plan for a team, not a team from the past.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.
To register for a question, please press 1-4 on your telephone.
Any further questions for Coach Boeheim? Okay,
We have
Coach.
a question.
Excuse me. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Sorry, we have a question from David Teal with the Daily Press. Please proceed.
Mm-hmm.
Jim, you mentioned road success. You guys won at Miami the other day. You won it at Louisville. That would seem counterintuitive to having such a young team. How has this group been able to find that poise that you need on the road?
Really, even if we lost the first half, came back at the end, made a shot. Long time that was a pretty good ability. So that got us much. Seen all and I hitting Zig at the buzzer. Again, I just think that team overtime.
Any further questions for Coach Boeheim? We are having some technical difficulty, apparently. Okay, Coach, thanks for being with us today, and we'll hear from you again next week.
Thanks.
Thank you. And we will hold now for North Carolina head coach Roy Williams. And again, operator, can I have you offline? Now, with us now, we have North Carolina head basketball coach Roy Williams, whose Tar Heels will be at Syracuse on Wednesday. The game shown nationally on ESPN. Coach, are you on?
Just one moment.
All right.
Okay, we're now connected.
We have with us now North Carolina head basketball coach Roy Williams, whose Tar Heels will be at Syracuse on Wednesday. The game shown nationally on ESPN with a 7 o'clock tip. Coach, if you could, a few comments about your team, and we'll open it for questions.
Okay. Had a great win Saturday at Louisville. Came out and shot the ball very, very well, and didn't do a great job defensively. It's a stuck record that you're hearing all the time, but and then down the stretch, all of a sudden, I don't know if it was our defense or just they might missing shots, but they didn't score about the last 3 minutes or so. And we made some plays. Luke May made some huge shots for us in the second half early. Joel and Kenny, Cam, everybody made shots early, but just a great road win for us. And now we've got to go to turn around and go play against that zone, which is awfully difficult to play against.
We open it for questions for Coach Williams.
If you'd like to register for a question, please press 1-4 on your telephone. Our first question is from the line of Christopher Heidel with Herb FM Sports Radio. Please proceed.
Hi, Coach Williams. How you doing?
Good. How are you this morning?
Doing great. Talk about the last 3 games. What do you like to see in the last 3 games of the season for your team to improve for the tournament?
3 wins and great play on the defensive end of the floor. That's a pretty easy answer right there. But no, we've got to continue to try to push to get better on the defensive end of the floor, try to see if we can do a better job guarding the three-pointer and also guard people inside. But stay healthy, get a little more positive about what we're doing offensively, and continue to rebound the ball very well.
Well, good luck this week.
Thank you very much.
Our next question is from C.L. Brown with the Fieldhouse. Please proceed.
Hi, Roy. When talking to Kenny Williams, he said that the box out to break drill might be one of your favorite drills in terms of doing what you do best right now, both rebounding and getting out in transition. I was just wondering if you could kind of explain what about that drill that you like so much that translates from practice to actual games.
Well, we do boxing out to break almost every single day, and sometimes more than once. I think that boxing out is a huge part of what we have to do to finish the defense, and I want us to get used to pushing the pace. I'm a little mad at myself early in the preseason. We played with a 15-second shot clock, and I told them I didn't want bad shots. I wanted good shots, trying to get them to work exceptionally hard to get good shots out of it. And we've gotten away from that, so we may try to go back to that a little bit this week. But we like to go up and down the court, and we like to understand that we've got to run back on defense and not let the other teams push the pace against us. So it gets rebounding, it gets boxing out, it gets us going on the offensive end. It also works on our defensive transition. And sometimes I use it for a longer period of times just to make sure we're getting good conditioning as well.
And just to clarify, are you saying you might go back to the 15-second shot clock in practice? That part of it?
We did it early in the year, and I thought it helped us, and we've gotten away from it. And so I may go try it again because in my way of feeling, our fast break is a medium fast break. It's not very fast.
Okay. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Our next question is from James Suba with SB Nation. Please proceed.
Hey, Coach. Yeah, you mentioned the 2-3 zone. What do you do in practice to prepare to go up against the zone you play Syracuse?
Well, we put some of the blue squad in those spots, but we can't simulate their length that Syracuse has. We can't simulate how effective they run it, and you can't simulate how quickly they close out on the shooters. But we do put them in the spots and try to simulate what it is. But every team I've ever had has been shocked the first several minutes that they ever play against because they think they're open. Oh my gosh, the guy's right on the face, and then you think they're playing zone, and all of a sudden they trap you in the corner. So it's just so many different things that you have to be prepared for, and it's hard to simulate that in practice if you don't have that athleticism that they do on your squad that's trying to work on it.
And then you guys play in front of some pretty big crowds at home as well, but what's it like going up to Syracuse and playing in front of a big crowd in the Dome?
Well, it's like the rest of the league. I mean, most places we go, we play in front of a big crowd, and it's a little bigger building. It's a little more wide open with the view that you have behind the backboards and those kind of things. But you know, we play in a lot of big arenas as well, and so it's a gym. It's built for basketball. The crowd is really into it. They've beaten us to death up there a couple of times, and we've gotten lucky in beating them, I think, once. But it's not the gym. It's the guys in the other uniform that usually beat you.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If you'd like to register for a question, please press 1-4 on your telephone.
Any further questions for Coach Williams? Okay, Coach, thanks for taking time being with us today. We'll do it again next week.
Okay, guys. Everybody have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Roy. All right, operator, offline, please. Okay, we have with us now Virginia Tech Associate Head Coach Steve Roccaforte. Coach, you host Clemson this Wednesday, a game shown on RSN with a 7 o'clock tip. If you could, just make an opening statement about the team in general, and then we'll open it for questions.
Yes, sir. Our guys have played extremely hard through the ACC schedule. We've been pretty successful on the road. They're trying to get better every day. Really concentrating on our half-court defense, and I think those guys have really bought into what we're doing, and looking forward to this week.
And we open for questions for Coach Roccaforte.
If you'd like to register for a question, please press 1-4. We have a question from the line of Mike Barber with the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Please proceed.
Hey, Rock. I'm curious. You guys inherited Devin Wilson. And he played so many minutes as a true freshman, and his playing time had gone down. And Buzz said before the year that he might end up being the most important player on the team. And you guys have inserted him into the lineup. How has Devin handled kind of everything you've asked of him, from stepping back a notch to now stepping into the starting lineup?
I think what you said to begin with, the amount of minutes, him being a veteran, playing so much early, he's kind of been through the battles and the wars. There's nothing that he really hasn't seen. He is the ultimate glue guy for our team. All of our players, including our coaching staff, really respect him for the way that he adjusted, especially to us. And he probably is the most important guy to our team this year, because he's the guy that brings everybody together. Since he's went into the lineup, he's just kind of stabilized our team. And I think the way that he's handled everything like a professional. He's always the same guy every day. He's always going to work hard. He's almost like another coach, a player coach, because he knows everything we're doing. He has a calming effect on the other players. So I agree with that statement. He probably is the most important guy on our team because he is such a glue guy.
And is he maybe underappreciated on the offensive end, in the sense that you guys have a ton of people who can shoot it and score it and do those things? Does he maybe bring something that isn't really at the forefront of some of the other guys' games?
I just think he's always looking to do things that other people aren't. I think he gives you a guy that, he, as a freshman, he was a point guard, so he gives you another ball handler, playmaker, offensively. He's always looking to set other people up. He's extremely unselfish, and he's probably our best defender. So he brings a lot to the table.
Great. Thanks. Good to talk to you.
Thank you.
Our next question is from the line of Christopher Heidel with Herb FM Sports Radio. Please proceed.
Hi, Coach. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Doing good. Talk about the last 3 home games of the season for you guys. You're home for the next 3 days, 3 games. What does that mean for you and your team and your seniors?
I think our fan support has grown, especially over the past couple of years. All these home games have been sold out. The ones prior to this have been sold out. I mean, it's a great environment in Castle. Our fans are extremely loud. I think our players and our seniors really appreciate that support. I think they feed off of that. It is a big time for us. But this time of the year is very important for a lot of people. And what we try to do is concentrate on, what's next. And, all our focus and all our energy will go into Wednesday night, and we'll prepare the best we can, go out there and try to be successful, and then we'll look at what's next, after that. But, it's a good time for us. I think our players are excited. I think our fans are excited. So we'll just try to put our best foot forward.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
Our next question is from the line of Mark Berman with the Roanoke Times. Please proceed.
Good afternoon. To follow up on Devin, you said he's your best defender. What makes him your best defender?
I just think that everybody trusts him to do the right thing, to be in the right position. I think that his mindset is to do whatever helps our team. And I think defensively, that's his first priority, is defending, helping his teammates, rebounding, all the little things that are going to make a team successful. And I think that the trust factor with him, with his teammates, with the coaching staff, he's just a guy that brings it together. We have some other guys that are good defenders. I would say Devin is, a defensive specialist. I would say Justin Bibbs is a really good defender too. And I think our team is getting better at that at the right time of the year. I think our defense has been better, especially over the past 4 or 5 games. And we're just looking to build on that, become as good as we can defensively, become as good as we can rebounding. And I think that can take us, a long way.
Thank you.
Our next question is from David Teal with the Daily Press. Please proceed.
Steve, you mentioned road success. This will be the first time in 14 years of ACC membership that Virginia Tech will have a winning league record on the road. Is that a function of maturity and experience? What have been your observations about that road success?
I think first and foremost, the thing that Coach Williams stresses and tries to build is a culture. And I think that culture is of mental and physical toughness. And I think our guys understand that. I think our style of play fits into that. And I think our guys enjoy going on the road. They know it's a challenge. We've had some success doing that. When we first got here, it was a struggle. And I think as we got more of our guys in here, as the culture began to build, I think they understood how important road games are. And, I just think our preparation and everything that we do going into road games has been highly successful for us, especially this year. And like you said, in this league, Coach Williams likes to say it's the best league other than the NBA if you're going to play basketball. And it's true. Anybody and everybody on a given night can win regardless of if it's on the road or at home. And I just think our guys have done a great job of preparing, and mentally having the right focus on the road. So I do think it's a big deal. I think they're very proud of that, and it's a great accomplishment.
And have they really embraced that cultural wall where you put that photo up from road victories?
Yeah, I think, I think anytime you can do anything fun to, connect with your guys, I think that's something that Coach Williams is really good at, connecting with his guys and giving them something motivational that's fun, that those guys really enjoy. So, yeah, I think they really like that.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
And our next question is from the line of Norm Wood with the Daily Press. Please proceed.
Hey, Steve. Continuing with the Devin Wilson theme here. After the UVA game in Charlottesville, Buzz at the post-game presser was talking about, quote, "I've never went from disliking a player as much as I did when I first got here to the respect that I have for him." You obviously have a lot of conversations with Buzz about personnel and how to deploy guys and all that. But what was the disconnect there early on?
I don't know if it was a disconnect so much. I think that whenever you come into a new place, a new environment, and you're trying to get your program installed, people that are left over that haven't come with you, that don't know you, you're looking at them as, is this guy our kind of guy? Is he going to fit into what we do? And I think if you looked at it, something his freshman year, the last part of his freshman year, he played 40 minutes for, I don't know how many of those games, maybe all of the conference games. Some stat that's just incredible. And, you're trying to change a culture that hasn't won to a culture that can win in the hardest league in the country. And that's really, really hard to do. And I just think, I just think he was just wary of that. And gradually, as time went on, he began to understand that Devin Wilson is a really good guy. Devin Wilson is a hard worker. Devin Wilson is a team guy. Devin Wilson will do whatever you ask him to do. And in this day and age, and the way society is, those kind of guys are hard to find. And especially with the way that we do things, he just continued to fit in and get better and understand what we were doing. And he's a big key to our team. He's just a guy that can bring people together, and he's done a great job with that.
Thanks.
Okay, Coach, thanks for taking time being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have with us now Duke head basketball coach Mike Krzyzewski, whose Blue Devils will host Louisville this Wednesday. The game shown nationally on ESPN with a 9 o'clock tip. And as we do each week, we'll go right to questions for Coach K.
If you'd like to register for a question, please press 1-4. We have a question from David Teal with the Daily Press. Please proceed.
Good afternoon, Mike. Please excuse, if you will, a provincial question, but Lefty Driesell is a local guy for us, and this is the 5th time that he's been nominated for the Hall. I know you've spoken on his behalf before, but what in your mind makes him a Hall of Fame?
Well, we have to have more than 10 minutes to answer that. I think Lefty, if things had not happened like they did at Maryland, and obviously that wasn't his fault, but in some ways he was a scapegoat in that. He'd have over 1,000 wins. He would have, done even more than he did at Maryland, and what he did was fantastic. Basically, he was an innovator. He's one of the most successful coaches in the history of the game. And at a time where only one team could go, a number of his, from a league, he was denied by one game an opportunity to reach a national championship, to reach a Final Four. In other words, you take that State Maryland game with the historical game, that's a national championship game. And so instead of just saying, like right now, it's more guys have an opportunity to participate in the tournament and go that far. Don't deny him the fact because he didn't get that. He's an innovator. What he did at Davidson, he basically changed recruiting. And also Midnight Madness. He's just an innovator and one of the great guys in the game. And I know I would vote for him. And I'm fortunate that I'm in. I would love for him to join me and a number of the other ACC coaches. I always think of him as an ACC coach in the Hall of Fame. So hopefully that it'll go.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Our next question is from the line of Christopher Heidel with Herb FM Sports Radio. Please proceed.
Good afternoon, Coach K. How you doing?
Good.
Just talk about Louisville coming up on Wednesday night. What type of coach is Coach Pagic? Because he took over a really bad situation, and it seems like he turned that team into a very good positive this year.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I'd rather not answer your question about what kind of coach is Coach Paget, and I'd rather just, he's a really good coach, but it's not, he doesn't have to worry about my opinion of his coaching. He's done a fabulous job in coming in, right at the 11th hour, really, and without the experience of being a head coach or the lead assistant at a big time program. He assembled a really good staff right away, and has turned that team into a contender. And it would have been a contender if Rick was there, but it still is a contender with the change that was made. And I think he and his staff should be proud of what they've done thus far, and the season's not over. I know we expect a very, very difficult game from them.
Thanks, Coach K. Good luck.
All right, thank you.
Our next question is from the line of C.L. Brown with the Fieldhouse. Please proceed.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Coach. I was wondering with moving, with putting the ball in Grayson's hands a little bit more at point guard. I was wondering what ways is he better, doing that now than he was, when you first tried it out, kind of back in his earlier years.
Well, it's a different team, and he's a different player. He's more capable of doing it. Really in the last 2 years, he's led us in assists each season, and so he's accustomed to making passes. But we needed him to score so much that, and we had multiple ball handlers in both of those years, that he didn't have a complete opportunity to do that. He's much more mature as a player. He's a smart player, and even early on this season, it wouldn't have been a good time because the other guys were trying to develop their identities. And I think the fact that the other guys in that starting unit have developed their identities, through, accomplishment. They've done well. That putting him now in charge of more of a veteran group of freshmen is a lot better, and I think it's helped Trayvon too, where he can go in and out of that position. He can play on the side but also on top. But Grayson's our leader, and putting him out on top there, especially during this time, and with Marvin being out, it was a good move and an appropriate move, and we've benefited from the move.
Yeah, was that something that, when you going back to when you were recruiting him out of high school, was that something that you felt like he'd be capable of doing all along, or was that something that
No, I just thought he was such an amazing competitor, athlete, and scorer that he would just be a really good guard. Actually, he's become better and better, and but he's a worker. He's a worker. He loves the game, and he's just learned more about the game, and he likes that. And again, we're benefiting from that right now. All the lessons that he's learned from playing with Tyus and Quinn, and having the responsibilities he's had for 3 years and this year. And I think he's very close with the freshmen as a result of being in all these experiences with them. For now, what have we played? 27 games, and that's been a good process along the way.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
Our next question is from James Suba with SB Nation. Please proceed.
Hey, Coach, forgive me for asking and looking ahead a little bit here, but is there any chance that Marvin plays Saturday against Syracuse?
Well, I'm looking ahead to Louisville. I mean, as far as Marvin's status, I'm not sure if it's more. It's not day to day as much, but in some respects it is. He's improving, and I'll know more today. We haven't practiced yet, and we haven't had any therapy today. We got back last night, and but he's getting better. He's getting better, and we're going to make sure that he's completely good before we get into March, and that may mean he plays. We will give, just like we have for these past 3 games, we wait until game day when we have our shoot-around, and then we know where he's at that time, and that's what we'll continue to do. And we'll be very forthright in what we're doing. We're not trying to hide anything or anything.
Okay. And I know, looking ahead, I'm sorry, but I know you got the Syracuse game Saturday, and you're playing against Jim. Last year, you kind of highlighted after the Syracuse game how much he means to you and how much of a treasure he is. Can you speak to that a little bit? Your relationship with him that you built throughout USA.
Yeah. Well, our families, Jim and I, and our families are as close as you can be, and we shared almost 12 years of in U.S. basketball, where a lot of some great things happened, but one of the great things was how our families got to spend time with one another. They really became very, very close friends. And he's, he's as good as anybody who's coached a game, and that's why, and may not be smart in some things, but I was smart enough to ask him to be with me for 12 years, and that benefited me and USA basketball tremendously.
Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome.
And we have a question from Kip Coons with Press Fox View. Please proceed.
Yeah, hi, Mike. In Marvin's absence, how have you been encouraged by the play of Jevon Laurier and Marquise Bolden and actually even Jack White in filling in those post position roles for him?
Yeah, I mean, we're really, I'm really happy for those guys. They've come through. Javin in particular against Virginia Tech, came off the bench in the first half and then started the second half and was a key guy. And then yesterday against Clemson, he had 10 rebounds, but he probably kept 4 or 5 other balls alive. And then in out of bounds situations and under out of bounds, his defense produced 3 good situations for us where he wasn't credited with the steal, but his teammate got a steal. And so basically in a game he had an impact on 18 things, but he only scored 2 points. and what a valuable guy to have. And then Marquise, played with the physicality yesterday that we needed. And Jack is coming on, and he gave us 7 good minutes against Clemson. So it's given these kids an opportunity to get more minutes, and they've come through for us.
Any further questions for Coach K? Okay, Coach. Thanks for being with us today.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike. And that concludes today's basketball teleconference. Thank you for taking part.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the call. We thank you for your participation and ask you to please disconnect your line.